what's the address of the emergency?
No, the Fairway in Batesville.
Fairway, I don't have that. Is that in Milton?
30188. I'm moving the oil very quickly. Fairway, S-A-I-L-L.
Ma'am, I lost her.
When every moment mattered, it took nearly 20 minutes. 20 minutes to find the woman steadily sinking in a Cherokee County lake.
At 11 Alive's Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe has learned that happens every single day, several times a day.
The victim's mother refuses to listen to the 911 call, but she wants you to hear it because her daughter's final words could help fix a broken system.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
I'm in a car in a lake.
Where?
She's in a lake and her doors won't open?
Did she say where she is?
A desperate search for a sinking car. Shanell Anderson was delivering newspapers in the dark when she veered into a neighborhood pond. Her only lifeline, a cell phone and 3 numbers.
Where? Where are you? What lake?
Fairway off of Batesville. 30188.
Okay, is that the address where the lake is?
Yes, ma'am.
Give me the address again. Make sure I have it right.
Were you able to pull the address up?
I'm moving the oil very quickly.
Give me the address one more time. It's not working.
You can't find the address?
No, we've got everybody out there looking for it.
19 minutes ticked away before rescuers found the pond, and 29 minutes after Shanell called 911, Cherokee County firefighters pulled her unconscious from the sunken SUV. They found her too late to save her life.
She knew where she was. She told 911 where she was exactly. And for them still not to be able to locate her is insane.
Shanell's mother wants to know why her daughter's cell phone never gave 911 her location.
They couldn't locate her. As something as simple as locating someone in today's society, where you have GPSs, where you have apps that have locator services, you're telling me 911 doesn't have the capability to locate someone on a cell phone?
Shanell called 911 for help, but ended up spending her last breaths helping 911 simply find her.
Give me the address one more time. It's not working.
Fairway, S-A-I-L-L. It's all
Ma'am, I lost her.
Let's play that back one more time.
Give me the address one more time. It's not working.
Why didn't they have that address? We typed Batesville at the Fairway into Google Maps and it came right up without using road or street or the zip code like the victim did. But 911 doesn't use Google Maps. Instead, they use computer-aided dispatch. This is a computer grid connecting the radios and the telephones to GIS, the Geographic Information System. This is a hyper-accurate proprietary map that has every house, every firehouse, every fire hydrant in the city. But it has one fatal flaw. It stops at the city line. If you hit a cell tower outside their jurisdiction, they don't know where you are.
If the phone had automatically routed to the correct jurisdiction, this very well may have a different outcome.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Alpharetta 911, among the top accredited communication centers in the nation, answered Shanell's call for help. But she wasn't in Alpharetta. The pond was 100 yards outside Fulton County.
The address of that tower determines which 911 center that call goes to. It's not based on the location of the telephone.
Emergency callers get connected to the wrong 911 center so often, dispatchers have dedicated buttons to transfer victims to neighboring departments. There was a cell tower within sight of the pond, but Shanell wasn't a customer of that wireless carrier. Her call was picked up by this tower 3 times farther away in the next county. Do you have calls every day where you don't know where the phone is?
Every day we receive calls. We get a tower address and that's it.
70% of all 911 calls now come from mobile phones, but call centers nationwide are seeing a significant decrease in the number of emergency calls that deliver a dispatchable address. My phone knows exactly where I am, but my phone doesn't tell you where I am?
Your phone does not transmit that data to the 911 center.
Instead of my phone pushing this information to you, the phone company and the 911 center has to pull it from the phone to the tower.
Correct.
Sometimes the location appears in seconds, sometimes minutes.
There are times that it doesn't come up at all.
Fairly, Batesville, and where?
The Fairway and Batesville.
Batesville and what?
The Fairway is the street, ma'am.
Fairway, I don't have that.
The phone didn't tell you where she was, and so you had to get it from the victim who's in a sinking car.
More than likely, her phone already possessed that information. The system for 911 doesn't use that information in an automatic mode.
The wireless location system used by 911 today was designed nearly 2 decades ago, long before the arrival of the GPS-enabled smartphone.
Why is it more important for a 99-cent app to know where we are than the 911 operator who answers the call? When you call 911, you need to know where your location is, because right at this point in time, your phone is not going to tell them.
Alpharetta, Atlanta, even the state of Georgia, none of them track stats on how many 911 calls come in without location data. But California told the FCC they're seeing fewer than half of all wireless 911 calls tell dispatchers where to find the victim.
Brendan, this is heartbreaking and scary for the rest of us. So in other words, let me just get this straight. You're telling us that we are right now facing a combination of 3 very critical problems here. One, 911 calls routinely reach the wrong 911 center, that the center's maps often stop or always stop at the city or county line, and that my cell phone doesn't always tell the dispatcher where I am.
And that's pretty much the most surprising one. I thought they did. Just about everybody thought they fixed this back in 1996. Starting tomorrow night at 11, the investigators find out why, holding the FCC, the Georgia governor, and the legislature accountable. See you tomorrow at 11.
A powerful story. Cannot wait to see your next installment, Brendan. Thank you. Nice work.
The 11 Live investigators broke the story last night. 911 can't find victims calling from cell phones every day here in Metro Atlanta. Well, now Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe, he finds out why.
She's in the vehicle and she's in the lake and she said her doors won't open.
And the doors won't open?
And that's about 10 minutes ago and we can't get her back on the phone.
I had to hang up the phone. Like, she didn't hang up the phone on me. She asked me. She pled with me to call 911. I hung up the phone on her.
You can't find the address?
No, we've got everybody out there looking for it.
All I can hear is her voice in my head asking me for help, asking me to call 911, and I know I hung up the phone on her.
Wayne Copeland was the last person to hear Shanell Anderson's voice. She was trapped inside a sinking car and first called 911 from the bottom of this pond, but they couldn't find her for 20 minutes.
Is that the address where the lake is? Give me the address again. Make sure I have it right. Fairway, I don't have that. Give me the address one more time. It's not working. Ma'am, I lost her.
My cell phone cannot be smarter than the 911 call center.
Has 911 developed as quickly as this device has?
The current 911 system is still based on a twisted pair of copper wire.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Shanell's location never appeared on these screens at Alpharetta 911. The front end of the system, state-of-the-art computers. But the backbone of 911 is an analog system that doesn't receive your location directly from your smartphone. 911 has to ask and re-ask the wireless carriers to fetch that information through their cell towers, using time-consuming technology developed 19 years ago.
Retool the 911 system to function in a data-driven world.
To see why our 911 system is so far behind, you have to follow the money. Federal records show Georgia took $13.7 million in prepaid wireless 911 fees and didn't spend a penny of it on 911. And that was just in 2011. Year after year, millions were deposited into the state's general fund. Georgia admitted no funds were directed toward a specific 911-related purpose.
I pay taxes. Shanell's pay taxes. Her family member pay taxes. and you're saying that our tax money, all the money we're spending in taxes, your system is flawed. My cell phone is better than the 911 system, the little phone that I have on my waist.
We took that question to the state capitol and Georgia's committee that oversees 911. This is it. Georgia's permanent 911 advisory committee. You'll notice all 15 seats are empty. There's no one at the mic, and there's nothing on the agenda. The 15-member committee was created by law in 1977 to study and evaluate 911 service, identify changes necessary to accomplish more effective 911 across the state, and provide an annual report, including proposed 911 legislation. This committee hasn't met for years because there isn't a single member currently appointed.
All this money is going over to something else instead of saving my daughter.
And Georgia left millions more on the table. In 2009, the federal government gave out grants totaling $41 million to most states, including neighboring Tennessee, Alabama, and Florida, all to improve 911. Georgia didn't even apply. Why? Because there's no statewide 911 agency. The governor's 911 commission discovered that last year and recommended the creation of a state emergency communications board to meet current and emerging technological challenges. This report is sitting on the governor's desk.
My child called the service that she paid for only to find out they couldn't help her. You're paying for something that doesn't work.
And the 911 fees from Shanell's prepaid phone didn't go to 911 until 2012 when Georgia stopped keeping that money. Governor Deal's office answered our request for an interview by saying, quote, there are many fees that go into the general fund. The state has many priorities, all of them important to balance. DeMarco?
So if there is no state 911 agency, who is in charge of 911 here in the state?
DeMarco, right now, no one. Local governments make up their own decisions right now, but that dormant 911 advisory committee could be restarted after a temporary Senate committee issued this report and discovered there was supposed to be a permanent one.
This story has a lot of legs. All right, Brendan,
we're going to get it
thank
fixed.
you for this.
We're
Yes,
going to get
thank
it fixed.
you, and we promise to stay on it. Thank you. Tonight, the 11 Alive investigators dig even deeper into life-threatening problems with 911.
Only 11 Alive News has come to us and said, hey guys, this is a major, major problem.
The government warning we've uncovered days before a Georgia woman died.
Hundreds unite for Bobby Christina.
You know, God is in the healing business.
Measles in Georgia.
And a community on edge.
My kids won't go outside. My little girl's terrified.
We begin tonight with new information from the 11 Alive investigators after uncovering a major loophole in Georgia's 911 system.
Listen to this. Several states cannot track the location of half the emergency calls that are made on cell phones. Our chief investigator, Brendan Keefe, is now holding the powerful accountable tonight. Brendan.
DeMarco, you said it. Across the nation, 911 has a 50-50 chance of locating your cell phone. Then why does my smartphone have no problem pinpointing our location every time inside the 11 Alive studios? Here we go. Bam, right there. And we are inside the building 100% of the time. This is a disconnect, and it's costing lives.
I cannot get this address to come up.
And they're screaming, call 911. I'm trying to find you on our map.
You can't find the address?
No. For what address, ma'am?
Give me the address one more time. It's not working.
Lost on the line.
What's the address to your emergency? I don't know. We're on Lake Lanier. Our boat quit and it's sinking. I don't have that. Is that in Milton? What city is that in? I lost contact. Okay. I was trying to get that location. What agency are you with?
She was unable to tell the dispatcher where she was.
Give me the address again.
They searched for 8 hours.
I don't even know if you're in my county. You could be in Forsyth County.
8 hours before they found Miss Thomas.
There's a lot of screaming, help, help. Please. Okay, but I don't even know what you're referring to, ma'am.
And she died the next day.
Cell phones have allowed us to reach 911 from anywhere, but rescuers can't reach us if they can't find us.
Were you able to pull the address up?
I don't think it's ours. It's not on our map.
Did she say where she is?
We're trying to find you on the map, sweetie. Your cell phone's hidden, okay? Ma'am, I lost her.
The 911 location accuracy gap is not a theoretical future crisis. It's an issue now.
The chief of the FCC's Public Safety and Homeland Security Bureau wrote, "We are not where we need to be on location accuracy for wireless 911 calls. This puts American lives at risk." 12 days later, Shanell Anderson spent her last breaths trying to tell 911 where to find her sinking car.
December 17th, 2014.
This is 12 days before.
Just 12 days before my daughter passed in the car.
Jaqueen Curley holds the letter that may have foretold her daughter's death. The FCC knew even a few minutes of delay can cost lives.
Trying to find where she was, no instructions were given on how to save your life because they were so focused on, well, where is she?
Who would have believed that there could be an app on your phone and a car would show up precisely at your front door? You know, it'd be great if there was Uber for 911.
That's the chairman of the FCC, but instead of mandating the creation of a 911 app, the commission approved new standards that show just how bad the problem is.
Within 2 years, they must meet these standards for 40% of all wireless 911 calls.
That's right. The FCC is giving the wireless carriers another 2 years to locate 40% of cell phones calling 911. In 3 years, they'll have to find half. In 5 years, 70%.
At 6 years, they must deliver dispatchable location or X and Y coordinates within 50 meters of the caller for 80% of all wireless 911 calls.
6 years from now, 911 could still be unable to find 1 out of every 5 emergency callers.
Gwinnett County 911, what's the location of your emergency?
But 19 years ago, the FCC required wireless carriers to locate 95% of GPS-enabled phones in an emergency. Those rules technically still apply, but only to outdoor calls. More than half of cell phone 911 calls come from indoors. The FCC had proposed a 30-second limit to locate all wireless 911 calls, but the commission abandoned the 30-second rule for indoor calls, instead adopting new standards written largely by the big cell phone companies. One commissioner wrote it would be unfair to saddle them with obligations that cannot be met.
The focus should not be on the cell phone companies who are providing the service. The focus for the FCC should be on saving people's lives, like my daughter, Shanell.
And the 11 Alive investigators discovered for nearly 2 decades the FCC had been using test data, not real 911 calls, to enforce that 96 rule for finding cell phones. Within 18 months, Atlanta will be one of 6 metro areas where real 911 call data will be collected by the wireless carriers and forwarded to the 911 centers and the FCC for compliance. Brenda?
Brendan, this is so disconcerting. I mean, really, a goal of 40% of phones located 2 years from now? I mean, that shows just how bad this is and how ridiculous the whole thing is. Is there anything hopeful in that thick stack of new rules you got?
Yeah, actually there is. The commission is requiring cell phone companies to test several new technologies for finding victims indoors and also vertically. In other words, which floor they're on in a tall building. They'll also have to supply 911 centers with the raw barometer data from your phone. That's right, your iPhone, it actually has a barometer in it. Most of them do. We're going to stay on it.
Oh, yes, please do.
The 11 Alive investigators have uncovered shocking lapses in our 911 system. And tonight, the lifeline that's supposed to connect boaters and rescuers on Lake Lanier sometimes leaves victims lost on the line. Here's our chief investigator, Brendan Keith.
The call of the lake is often followed by a call to 911.
Shanell County 911, what's the address to your emergency? I don't know. We're on Lake Lanier. Our boat quit and it's sinking.
The first question, what's the location of your emergency, is Lake Lanier. That is a challenge.
And it's a boat wreck. They cannot swim. There's a lot of screaming. There's things. He doesn't have a life jacket. I'm trying to find you on our map.
It's an extreme challenge to try to figure out, where that caller is calling from.
Lake Lanier, 58 square miles of water with boats crisscrossing the invisible borders of 5 counties.
I don't even know if you're in my county. You could be in Forsyth County.
I'm standing at the intersection of 3 different counties, Forsyth, Gwinnett, and Hall County. Each has its own 911 center. How do I know where I am? I have a handheld GPS that also happens to be my lifeline to 911. When you're using your phone to call for help, you can't always see where you are on your GPS. And as it turns out, Neither can the 911 dispatcher.
Is there anyone hurt?
It only takes one call, not knowing where that caller is, and it could be a tragedy.
There are no cell towers on Lake Lanier. They're all on shore in a nearly 700-mile-long ring around the lake. The closest tower is often in the next county, and it's this tower's location, not your phone's, that determines which of the 5 counties answers your call.
It's freezing. We're trying to find you on the map, sweetie. Your cell phone's hidden, okay?
Sometimes your phone eventually tells 911 your coordinates on the lake. Sometimes you're lost on the line.
Where are you now?
We want to be able to find that caller, and we want to be able to find that victim, and that not be 50, 60% of the time. We want it to be 100% of the time.
Hall County 911 is the address to your emergency.
How do you tell the dispatcher where to find you?
All right, what's the address?
If this is all you see in every direction, the middle of the lake has no addresses or cross streets.
Can you see a buoy marker or anything about where you're at? No, it's very dark.
Several people have died waiting for rescuers to get to them on the water. So now all 5 counties share a single detailed map of the lake, including overlays of every buoy and dock number. Unlike others, this map doesn't stop at the county line.
That right there is Hall County.
Our boundaries extend beyond the boundaries of Hall County. And what I like to tell people, there are no boundaries on Lake Lanier.
We've got people coming to you, okay? We've got a boat that's going to get out on the water.
Our goal, we're going to find you.
There's also a single shared frequency for first responders on the lake. When there's a call for help, every jurisdiction switches over to the lake channel, and all rescuers race toward the victims, even if they could be in the next county.
Just a fascinating story. A question for you. Is the cooperation between the 5 counties there on Lake Lanier unusual, and could that be used as a model for Georgia?
It really could be a model for the whole nation, DeMarco. It's unusual, and while other counties have different levels of interoperability, tonight there is still no state oversight in Georgia, no state agency coordinating 911. We're going to see if we can change that.
Unbelievable. All right, Brendan, thank you.
The 11 Alive investigators were the first to uncover the story that 911 has trouble finding cell phone callers every day. And now our 11 Alive investigation, Lost on the Line, has gone national.
When you call for help, you assume you're going to be found. But as Jeff found, don't be so sure.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. We have been investigating this for weeks with our friends from Gannett.
In an emergency, dispatchers may not be able to track your location.
Can 911 operators track your location?
When you call 911 from your cell phone, you expect dispatchers to know where you are.
NBC's Today Show, Gannett stations nationwide, and USA Today have all picked up the story to focus on the death of a Georgia woman who died after calling 911 from her car at the bottom of a Cherokee County pond. And now our chief investigator, Brendan Keefe, has taken the issue to Washington to hold the powerful accountable.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
The FCC's Chief of Public Safety and Homeland Security listens to the last words of Shanell Anderson.
Give me the address one more time. It's not working.
Before she lost her life, Shanell was lost by 911. Now her voice is being heard from coast to coast.
Ma'am, I lost her.
A call for help has become a call for change. Do you think this call is the intersection of a number of issues that 911's facing?
It really is. First and foremost, it's a tragedy. In the 911 business, you can be right 100,000 times. They'll remember you for the time you're wrong.
Admiral David Simpson had already heard Shanell's call. The 911 community shared it nationwide after our investigation, because Shanell is only the latest casualty of an outdated 911 system that has trouble locating cell phones more often than not in some states such as California.
And for them still not to be able to locate her is insane.
Her daughter thought 911 would be able to find her from her phone. What can you promise Shanell Anderson's mom sitting here today?
She should know that her daughter is a hero in this, that her death, however tragic, has galvanized a county, galvanized a state, galvanized a country around this important issue.
Admiral Simpson said his FCC unit is committed to helping create a 911 app for smartphones. But right now, the best the nation's 911 system can do is work with the worst equipment. The 911 system is designed to work with the least capable phone and the least capable 911 center. Is that accurate?
That's absolutely accurate. It's got to work consistently every time, all the time.
And that means it doesn't work with a smartphone right now.
It doesn't take full advantage of everything the smartphone might be able to bring to bear on the problem.
Because that would leave the people without a smartphone behind.
Yes.
And that smart technology has no part in the decision over which 911 center answers the call. It's always the tower's location, not the phone's. When a member of Congress calls 911 from the nation's capital, the call could go here. Oh, I'm not in Washington, D.C. I'm across the Potomac River in Virginia. The call could just as easily go to a 911 center in Maryland, causing confusion and costing precious seconds. Nowhere in this more than 100-page order is there a call for routing by the phone's location versus the tower's location.
That would not provide a consistent enough lowest common denominator.
The FCC is raising the standards for the wireless carriers, underscoring the problem they'll have to locate just 40% of all phones by 2017, 80% by 2021. But that will include inside buildings with floor locations and apartment numbers.
To collect all of the live call data for 911, where the call came from, what technology was used to provide the location information. That's huge. We have not had that obligation on the carriers before.
It's going to take a literal act of Congress to repair the nation's 911 system. The FCC can't tell 911 centers what technologies to adopt. The agency's regulatory authority begins and ends with the phone companies. You can't tell the 911 centers what to do. You can't tell the states what to do, correct?
That's exactly right. Those decisions are at the state and local levels.
The help you get during an emergency is directly dependent on local funding and local politics. And in Georgia, even the state takes a hands-off approach. The ultimate solution may be that standardized 911 app, which could still be years away.
If the phone can find us, we should be able to find the phone.
Wow. And Brendan, I understand, late word, this investigation is now already getting some results.
That's right. I'm holding a speech in my hand delivered today by Admiral Simpson after our interview. And now the FCC says it is working on routing the calls by the phone's location, not the towers. That could have saved Shanell Anderson's life. Also, he encouraged the 911 officials there to make sure their maps do not stop at the county line. Again, something that could have saved Shanell Anderson's life.
Too bad that wasn't already implemented, but it's good to know that things are in the works and to take place pretty quickly. All right, Brendan, thank you. Well, the cost of a broken 911 system is measured in lives lost, like Shanell Anderson, who died after her cell phone didn't help rescuers find her submerged car. There's another cost measured in dollars. 11 Alive Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe is holding the powerful accountable, following the money.
That's right, Brenda. This is a check. It is cut by the city of Alpharetta to AT&T Wireless, paying the phone company for 1 month of 911 location services. The date, December 31st, 2 days after Alpharetta 911 couldn't find a drowning Shanell Anderson. Before the ambulance siren blares, before the first fire truck leaves the station,
911, what's the address of your emergency?
911 answers the call. These are the first responders, and their first words aren't what's the emergency, but where.
What's the address to your emergency?
They need to start taking the money and using it to upgrade the system, because the technology is already there.
Jaqueen Curley lost her daughter Shanell after 911 couldn't locate her cell phone. Shanell was trapped inside her SUV at the bottom of this Cherokee County pond. Alpharetta 911 got the call through AT&T, but it came with no location other than the tower. Just 2 days later, Alpharetta signed this check to AT&T for $11,873 to cover 1 month of E911 location services. This 911 center was forced to write a check to the wireless phone company for providing location information that they didn't provide to save your daughter's life.
In any other industry, that would be called fraud. My daughter called, there was no location services provided to her, and now that 911 center has to cut a check back to the cell industry because they say they provided a location service?
Give me the address one more time. It's not working. Ma'am, I lost her.
We pump a lot of money into our cell phones every month. Out of this bill, $1.50 goes to 911 service. The phone companies then have to send all of that money to the cities and the counties for 911. But Georgia law allows the phone companies to back bill the 911 centers 30 cents per subscriber. And that's why 911 centers are writing monthly checks to these for-profit phone companies with your 911 money.
Why should we cut a check back to them when they're already mandated by the FCC to facilitate 911 location?
We took that question to Washington and the FCC's chief of public safety. When funding is such a huge component of fixing this problem, if any of that money is going to the profit of a private company, just for them to comply with the law, shouldn't it be the cost of doing business?
Absolutely. I mean, it would be egregious if, in fact, 911 funds that did go to companies to provide a service at all contributed to a for-profit element of their company.
That would be against Georgia law. The phone companies can bill for only the actual cost of providing wireless enhanced 911 services. The same law allows each 911 center to audit the phone companies, but only one has tried and failed. Cobb County wrote checks like this to AT&T last year totaling $749,000. So Cobb's auditor asked AT&T and other carriers to prove that any money paid by the county went to actual 911 costs. None of the companies responded with proof. Cobb officials can't even tell us why, because carriers required them to sign non-disclosure agreements. If they're not providing proof of that, should they keep cutting checks to them?
Absolutely not. Georgia needs to change the law.
That's what the governor's 911 commission recommended in 2014, but the commission report is gathering dust on the governor's desk. Meanwhile, the phone companies and their lobbyists have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars at the state capitol and more than $10 million a year lobbying the federal government.
And then they take the money so that they can make sure that they don't have to comply. That makes absolutely no sense. Enough is enough. Adhere to the rules. We're not going to take it anymore.
Only two of the big four wireless carriers, AT&T and Sprint, are billing Metro Atlanta 911 centers that we checked. We asked them and their trade association to prove to us exactly where that money is going. AT&T replied with this: all the money we collect is used for the reimbursement of expenses actually incurred by AT&T for wireless E91 implementation. We asked again for detailed documentation, and we didn't get it.
Well, I know you're going to stay on top of this.
Tomorrow we're holding the governor accountable at 5.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Brendan. Well, 911 can't always find you in an emergency, something we actually didn't know before the 11 Alive investigators exposed a national crisis.
A national problem. We continue to push for answers. And now Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe, he is holding the governor accountable tonight. Brendan.
And Governor Deal must have known 911 needed fixing when he appointed 11 members to a 911 modernization commission in 2012. Their work was completed last year, but the governor has done nothing with the 17 major recommendations in this final report. Governor Nathan Deal steps before the cameras and the microphones. Is he here to announce sweeping reforms of Georgia's 911 system? No. Your own commission said 911 is broken in Georgia. What are you going to do to fix it?
Well, you know, 911 systems are run by local jurisdictions.
The governor would not sit down with the 11 Alive investigators to talk about the death of one of his own constituents. Shanell Anderson's last breaths, spent trying to help dispatchers find her sinking SUV, have been heard across the nation as a cry to fix 911. So we caught up with Governor Deal at a news conference about an impending ice storm, a time when other Georgia residents could be calling for help from their cars.
Is there a way that you can get out of your car safely?
911 is usually an after-the-fact notification system. We want people to be aware of what is anticipated before the fact.
What if one of his grandchildren dials 911? They're going to get the exact same service that my daughter got. Would he do something then if it was his grandchild? Probably so.
Shanell's mother wants Governor Deal to act on this 99-page report produced by his own 911 Modernization Commission. The panel called for statewide audits of the phone companies, the repeal of the Georgia law that allows those phone companies to bill 911 centers for millions of dollars in 911 fees, and the creation of a state emergency communications board. Your commission recommended that there be a state agency that oversees 911. Are you in favor of that?
Well, I haven't made a decision on that. I think we have supervision now on 911 in terms of trying to coordinate activities.
He has this report on his desk. Do you think he's even read it?
I don't think he's read it. He almost basically admitted that he hasn't read it.
There is no Georgia agency with the authority to create or enforce statewide standards for 911. A permanent 911 advisory committee mandated by Georgia law hasn't met in years. The governor's temporary commission laid out serious problems with 911, but rather than acting on these proposed solutions, for now the governor is leaving the fix to the cell phone companies.
Those are things that are legitimate concerns and things that I think the industry is also working with local jurisdictions to try to straighten that out.
Right now, there's zero accountability. Each county is their own accountability. Nobody checks on them to make sure the system is working properly. The cell phone industry spends their money to make sure nobody checks on them because they don't want anybody to know what they're doing. And the FCC says we're doing the best we can. Well, none of that is good enough.
The Georgia legislature is meeting right now, but we couldn't find a single pending bill that would address the state's lack of oversight or the 911 funding issues that send millions of your tax dollars right to the phone companies every month.
Brendan, I know you're not going to let it go. Thanks so much for bringing us up to date. Georgia lawmakers are considering the first change to 911 since the 11 Alive investigators exposed serious problems with the system's ability to find victims who call from cell phones.
Our chief investigator, Brendan Keefe, he actually discovered the state's proposal has nothing to do with saving lives tonight. Brendan?
Yeah, it's about money, your money. This legislation would redistribute the 911 surcharges from your cell phone bill, all while giving the phone companies absolute immunity from all 911-related lawsuits.
One more time, it's not working. I lost her.
Shanell Anderson's life ended here with a call to 911, but her call for help started a national investigation showing 911 often has no better than a 50-50 chance of locating victims through their cell phones. Not a single 911 bill has made it to the floor of the Georgia General Assembly in time to become law this year. But one was proposed. House Bill 557 would have allowed the state to pocket 2% of all E911 money in return for taking over distribution of the fees that currently go straight to the 911 centers. But someone slipped this line into the funding bill. It would give the phone companies absolute immunity from lawsuits for failing to locate someone even attempting to call 911. The language of the bill specifically says if a wireless carrier fails to provide location information, like what happened to Shanell Anderson, Shanell's mom can't sue them. And right now, if they can show willful and wanton misconduct, she can sue them. This would change that.
If that's what it says, that's what it says. But that particular chapter, like any other, has to be put in perspective of the whole bill.
Representative Don Parsons is chairman of the House Telecommunications Committee and the lone sponsor of the 911 bill. Did you write this bill?
Well, all bills are written by our legislative council, our lawyers. That's a rule of the General Assembly. We don't write bills.
If you didn't write it, who wrote it?
It was written by our legislative council, our lawyers who actually write bills up for us.
Right, but where did it come from? It didn't come from the lawyers.
The bill actually came, as I said, from the study committee that came out of the Senate last year.
Your name is the only name on this bill. Did you support everything in here when you presented it?
No, and I think I made that pretty clear when I did present it.
House Bill number 557.
It's a good question. I don't know. I haven't actually seen the recommendations from the study committee. I think probably what we're talking about is voice over internet, I think.
Chairman Parsons faced some tough questions from his own committee.
And then another later in the bill, and that's for the
This is the image that comes to mind when we think of legislation, the legislature. But this is not where laws are written. This is merely where the lawmakers take their final vote. The bills aren't even written in committee. The first draft of a bill is often written by a lobbyist.
It was written by our legislative council with input from the representative for the city of Atlanta.
Would that be Mr. Highsmith?
That would be,
Okay. Are you aware Mr. Highsmith is also a lobbyist for AT&T?
Specifically, I did not know that till you just told me.
Robert Highsmith, please.
Lobbyist Robert Highsmith told the 11 Alive investigators he was representing only the city of Atlanta when pushing the 911 bill, not his other client, AT&T.
Is anybody here from AT&T?
AT&T's regional vice president of legislative affairs was in the committee room.
My name is Kevin Curtin with AT&T.
But spoke about another measure, not 911. Chairman Parsons is retired from Bell South, now AT&T. The company has donated thousands to his re-election campaigns. And for years, AT&T Vice President Kevin Curtin paid for lunches and dinners with the representative. AT&T has a lobbyist, and the city of Atlanta has a lobbyist. Where's the lobbyist for Shanell Anderson?
Well, Brandon, we all as representatives, there are 180 of us, 56 senators. Our job is to represent our constituents.
After the 11 Alive investigators and county 911 directors started asking questions, Chairman Parsons decided not to ask his own committee for a vote on his own bill.
You know, we're not voting on the bill today. We're not going to vote on it tomorrow. The next day is something we're looking at for next year.
And tonight, we still don't know who inserted this line that would extend the phone company's immunity to cases of willful and wanton misconduct. No one will tell us how that got into an active bill that could have become law. Chairman Parsons says he did not add the immunity clause, but wouldn't say he's against it.
Welcome back, everyone, and thanks a lot for staying with us tonight. While a woman was trapped underwater in a sinking car, the 911 dispatcher was trapped on hold listening to music.
We thought we knew the whole story on this until the 11 Alive investigators uncovered new recordings that you're hearing for the first time tonight. Our chief investigator, Brendan Keefe, is holding the powerful accountable.
Brendan DeMarco, who does 911 call for help? If dispatchers can't locate a victim, they call special 24-hour hotlines at the phone companies. When seconds counted, 911 spent more than 8 minutes on the phone with AT&T, half of that time on hold as a drowning woman held her breath.
They received a call from a female that said that she was in the lake and losing air. Okay, I need units to start. Possible drowning.
Rescuers race to find Shanell Anderson, but they're literally in the dark. They have no idea where to start looking.
She's inside a vehicle in the water and the doors will not open.
Because the call reaches the wrong 911 center, Alpharetta dispatchers are looking for an intersection that doesn't exist on their own maps. So dispatchers make their own call for help. Dialing the AT&T hotline to ping the location of Shanell's cell phone.
Your call may be monitored and recorded for quality purposes. You have reached the AT&T National Compliance Center of AT&T. If you are calling from a 911 emergency center, or if this is a life or death matter, press 4.
AT&T Compliance, this is Judy. How can I help you?
Hey, Judy. It's Alpharetta Police in Georgia. We need subscriber location and subscriber information on a 911 call we just received.
All right, give me a moment. Okay, was a 911 hang up?
No, it's a female drowning in a lake somewhere.
All right, and you're wanting subscriber information?
Subscriber and location.
All right, hold on, please.
Already more than 2 minutes into the call, the Alpharetta dispatcher is placed on hold while firefighters are still searching for the pond.
Y'all located the vehicle?
Negative, we're still.
Robin, get an updated location for your unit.
After more than 3 minutes listening to hold music.
All right, thank you for holding. Yeah. I tried pinging the phone once already, and it came back that it's either turned off or at a location where it cannot be pinged. I'm going to try one more time, okay?
Okay, thank you. Shoot.
Give me 1 second, all right?
Okay, thanks.
With the Alpharetta dispatcher listening to hold music for a third time, now 8 minutes into the call, Cherokee County firefighters find the pond.
Yeah, we got one vehicle. It looks like it's all the way underwater right now. found. And we do have a vehicle in the water. You see the headlights.
We think we found a vehicle or skid marks.
Have you guys found a vehicle?
We found skid marks to the lake. So, okay, I gotta go. Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
And a half hour after Shanell called 911,
Patient is out of the vehicle. Rural Metro's going to be working for the rest of this time.
we now know AT&T had pinpointed the location of Shanell's phone 33 seconds after she called 911. That's right, AT&T's computer gave 911's computer the precise GPS coordinates. But since the pond was in the next county, the address did not plot on Alpharetta's maps. And later at the AT&T 911 hotline, that automated location information was not displayed on the operator's screen.
To try the best to see if I could ping it. It's not pinging, but give me a moment, okay?
Yeah, she and her car might be in the water, so.
I did twice already, but let me try one more.
Okay, thank you.
By that point, both Shanell and her phone were likely underwater, which is why the AT&T operator couldn't ping the phone's location. But remember, both AT&T and the 911 center already had the location of this pond. They just couldn't see it.
The false sense of security that we've all been spoon-fed. If you call 911, help is going to be on the way. And that's not always the case.
We played the AT&T call for Shanell's sister, Tiffany.
Her car is in the water? Yeah, I'm thinking her car is.
She tried holding her breath while listening to the hold music, knowing her sister was doing the same thing.
Lady, hold your breath for that long. How much faster would you move then?
She knew where she was. Her phone knew where she was. The phone company knew where she was. And they still couldn't find her in time to save her life.
It's just frustrating because even if I know where I am and I'm telling you where I am and my phone knows, it's not a guarantee that help will get here.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Alpharetta 911 is now extending its maps about 5 miles beyond the city limits.
Are you at that location now?
And training all dispatchers on how to help people trapped in sinking cars. But across the nation, cell phone calls still routinely go to the wrong 911 center, and victims are still lost on the line.
You know, my sister, this could be you. This could be your neighbor. This could be your mom. This could be your sister. This could be your dad. It's not isolated at all.
AT&T declined our request for an interview. The company met all FCC regulations once it sent the location of Shanell's phone to the 911 center. Those regulations do not require AT&T's own operators to see the automated location information it already sent to 911. After our first investigation, the FCC has asked all 911 centers across the nation to extend their maps beyond their borders. DeMarco?
Incredible reporting. Brendan, thank you for that. And folks at home, help us hold the powerful accountable. You can email your tips and story ideas to hpa@11alive.com.
First tonight, it's been nearly a year since a woman drowned in a Cherokee County pond while struggling inside her sinking SUV for 20 minutes as 911 searched for her phone's location.
Shanell Anderson's death became a rallying cry across the nation to fix 911 and the system that has trouble finding about half of all cell phone callers during an emergency. The 11 Alive investigators held the powerful accountable from Georgia to Washington, D.C. Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe first revealed cities and counties that are required to send checks to the phone companies, money that could have been used to upgrade 911 centers.
Now, two of Georgia's largest counties are suing the phone companies. Brendan Keefe has an update for us.
Well, that's right. Gwinnett and Cobb counties have hired former Governor Roy Barnes to sue 15 phone companies, accusing them of failing to collect or turn over some $50 million in 911 fees.
Where are you now?
911 is stuck in the 20th century. Unable to take advantage of today's smartphone technology, operators and dispatchers start by asking not what's the emergency, but where.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Upgrading this technology will take money, and Georgia's emergency dispatch centers are dependent on 911 fees collected by the phone companies.
We're just asking them to obey the law. We're filing suit on behalf of two of the largest counties, Gwinnett and Cobb.
Former Governor Roy Barnes and a team of attorneys just filed multi-million-dollar lawsuits against more than a dozen phone companies. AT&T alone is on the hook for more than $37 million, according to the county's complaint under Georgia law. It gives the counties the right, the exclusive right, to audit the phone companies to make sure they're collecting the right amount of money and also remitting the right amount of money.
Correct.
And what happened when Cobb County, they're the only county that I'm aware has ever tried to audit the phone companies. What happened when they tried?
The providers refused, wouldn't provide the information, wouldn't allow the audit, which is part of the lawsuit that we're filing also.
One of the largest phone companies had responded with, according to the audit I read, unintelligible data. Basically, they buried them in data that couldn't be read. Is that accurate?
That's a very accurate.
The 11 Alive investigators uncovered that failed Cobb audit earlier this year, also revealing the checks 911 centers are forced to cut to some of the phone companies every month, despite a lack of proof those companies are using the money to upgrade 911. Our investigation exposed a since withdrawn proposal in the General Assembly that would have expanded the phone company's immunity while taking the county's audit powers away.
I will tell you what's happened in some other states too is the telephone providers have run to the legislature and say, give us amnesty for all of our sins of past. In other words, after you steal the chicken out of the coop, don't make us give the chicken back. And just forgive us. And it would not surprise me if they tried to do that here.
Ma'am, I lost her.
Georgia's 911 system couldn't find Shanell Anderson's sinking SUV in time to save her. Now, a year later, Georgia 911 centers are forced to fight for every penny to bring their equipment into the 21st century. It's not about saving money, but saving lives.
The safety of the people of the Atlanta area, the people of Georgia, is really at stake here, right?
There's no question about that. By withholding these funds for profit, putting profit over safety, the providers have put us all at risk.
And we asked the largest of the 15 defendants, AT&T, for a comment. The company said it has not yet been served with the complaint, and so it's not yet ready to respond. Guys.
And then that's a powerful report there. It's been almost a year, as you know, since Shanell Anderson died. Is 911 any better off than before your investigation?
Well, Brenda, the FCC promised to adopt new technologies and apps. That was back in May, and we know they are currently evaluating those. Alpharetta and other 911 centers have expanded their maps into neighboring jurisdictions, which could have saved Shanell. But every day, 911 centers are still having trouble finding victims who call from cell phones.
All right, I know you'll not let it go, and you'll continue to follow what happens next in this chapter.
This ain't no wild goose chase. That man's in trouble.
Every second mattered.
He's possibly going to be out of oxygen.
But it was too late. On that day, 64-year-old George Treadaway took his last breath.
Treadaway is the second person in just over a year to drown in a car in Georgia as 911 dispatchers search for their location.
By law, there's supposed to be a committee ensuring Georgia's 911 system is up to date. But the governor is only now restarting that overnight group after the 11 Alive investigators told his administration the governor was violating the law by failing to even appoint it.
Well, then why appoint a commission to create a 99-page report and offer 8 different recommendations if you're not going to do anything
about that? You should come to some other venue rather than this one.
Our chief investigator, Brendan Keefe, holds the powerful accountable.
The subject called 911. He stated that he didn't know where he was at, that his car is in the water and sinking.
He's possibly going to be out of oxygen.
And I was unable to be able to ping his location from our system.
At this point, it ain't good.
I've tried calling him back numerous times, and I'm not able to get him back.
George Treadaway was lost on the line.
This ain't no wild goose chase. That man's in trouble.
Gordon County 911 won't release his call because they say he drowned on the phone with the dispatcher. But the county didn't even send anyone out to search the floodwaters for his sunken car until his family reported George missing nearly 5 hours later.
Gordon County 911.
We're trying to find my daddy-in-law, and he usually takes Reese Station Road, but we know that's flooded. But we can't get him on the phone or nothing. We don't know if he's been involved in a wreck or if y'all know anything about him.
Okay, we've not had any wreck.
Yeah, he's on oxygen, and I know his oxygen tank's got to be near empty.
This is where George Treadaway called 911 from his sinking car. But to the 911 system, George's phone was invisible, and so was he. Dispatchers couldn't see this location on their screens. Instead, they were beginning more than 5 miles away and a 10-minute drive. It was the cell phone tower location. George and his phone briefly showed up here. because the tower address is often the first thing a dispatcher sees, and in this case, it was all they had to go on, because George and his phone weren't here either. So the 911 dispatcher called the cell phone carrier. The operator there tried to ping George's phone, but it was likely already underwater. The last known location of George's phone was more than 3 miles away from the tower, in the other direction. The cell phone carrier had George's last location here, but this is still more than 3 miles away from where George Treadaway was fighting for his life. Rescuers had 2 addresses to begin searching for a drowning man. Both turned out to be dead wrong.
Did you get the tower hit off of it all? Because I am showing that the device was 3.39 miles from that tower to the southwest.
Show any water around in that area?
There's no lake or nothing around there. It's just all pine trees.
What did he say when he called in?
He said, I'm stuck in the water.
There was no water on that wooded hill because George called 911 from the flooded valley 3 miles away.
We found out the next day that there had been a 911 call.
But somehow Gordon County dispatchers didn't know one of their own 911 operators had already talked with a drowning George Treadaway hours earlier.
He did tell the dispatcher that the car was filling up with water, and they could hear that on the 911 tape.
I got a bad feeling about this. Something's wrong.
Okay, we'll continue to look for him.
George's body was pulled from his sunken car 2 days after he called 911 for help.
We were very disappointed in the 911 system.
I'm trying to find you on our map.
You can't find the address? No. For what address, ma'am?
Give me the address one more time. It's not working.
The 11 Alive investigators discovered cell phone callers are lost on the line by 911 every day.
They received a call from a female that said that she was in the lake and losing air.
A year ago, Shanell Anderson was trapped in her sinking SUV in Cherokee County, but her 911 call got picked up by the wrong call center in Fulton County.
Yeah, we got one vehicle. It looks like it's all the way underwater right now.
They found her too late to save her life.
Your own commission said 911 is broken in Georgia. What are you going to do to fix it?
Well, 911 systems are run by local jurisdictions.
A year ago, we asked the governor about this 911 modernization report he commissioned, a report completed while Shanell Anderson and George Treadaway were both still alive.
Your commission recommended that there be a state agency that oversees 911. Are you in favor of that?
Well, I haven't made a decision on that.
We asked the governor and his staff the same questions about his 911 commission report again and again, 9 separate times via email and in person over 12 months. After a year of no answers and another death, the investigators caught up with Governor Deal at a transportation news conference.
I asked you a year ago, I'll ask you again, have you done anything with your own 911 commission report?
We have put funding into 911 for local communities, but as you know, those are operated by local systems of government.
Well, then why appoint a commission to create a 99-page report and offer 8 different recommendations if you're not going to do anything
about that? You should come to some other venue rather than this one. If you want to ask about what we've talked about here today, I'll be glad to answer your question, but that is not what we're talking about.
People died on the roads. This is
I understand that, and we are concerned about that, and we're trying to do what we can about it. But you're here asking questions about nothing that we're talking about today.
How many more of your constituents have to die before you take 911 modernization seriously?
I don't mind answering some of y'all's questions if you want to.
And the governor walked away from our questions, but we asked his staff why he appeared to be breaking a long-standing Georgia law requiring the governor to appoint 12 members to a permanent 911 advisory committee, and why that state committee hasn't met in years. Now, after all of our questions over a year, the governor is in the process, finally, of appointing members to that committee. The first thing on their agenda, according to the governor's office, the 911 Modernization Commission's recommendations.
So bottom line, I'm still trying to just wrap my head around this. There's technology that allows Uber, for instance, to know where my phone is when I call. So what's the problem?
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Since 1996, they've been using the same technology, bottom line. So some local inventors essentially saw our investigation on the front page of USA Today, and they set out to solve the problem. Tomorrow night at 11, we put their invention to the test at the precise locations where George Treadaway and Shanell Anderson called for help.
We believe we could solve the problem of 911 location right now.
And we'll have that story tomorrow night at 11.
And look forward to it.
It's Possible Solution.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Even with the cell phone technology we have today, too often 911 dispatchers are still struggling to find your location during an emergency. The 11 Alive investigators were the first to expose the nationwide crisis.
And now, a year later, they've found a new solution that could make us all safer. Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe put the new invention to the test.
We live in 2016. 911 is stuck in 1996. Our smartphone knows where we are no matter where we go. Press a button, it takes us home. Press another, a car shows up. We can summon Uber quicker than an ambulance, police car, or fire truck can find us through a cell phone call to 911, because the current system still uses technology developed 20 years ago.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
I'm in a car in a lake.
Where?
May I move the air very quickly?
Give me the address one more time. It's not working.
Shanell Anderson was lost on the line. Her 911 call was routed to the wrong call center, and her phone never told dispatchers where to find her sinking car.
Ma'am, I lost her.
Do you believe that this technology would have saved her life had it been in her hands?
Without a doubt. There is no question.
Fred White.
When we call 911 through the cell network, we're ending up in the wrong jurisdiction.
And Michael Self.
Enough is enough. We're in a position to be able to do this. Let's solve this problem.
Are inventors determined to fix 911.
Every 30 seconds that is spent on 911, telling them who you are, where you are, what's going on, and how to get there, counts towards that golden hour.
We're parked at the edge of the same pond where Shanell Anderson called 911 to test the existing system.
Okay, here we go.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
This is not an emergency call. This is a field technician test call only. Can you please validate the address on your CAD display? Do you have phase 2 on me yet?
Yes. Well, actually, no.
Okay.
Now it's phase 2.
What's the phase 2 address?
Phone is showing 300 Batesville Road. My CAD is showing 374 Gables Walk.
Both of those are the cell tower. That's still about a mile away. Is this Alpharetta?
It is. We're in the wrong jurisdiction.
That's exactly what happened to Shanell's 911 call. She was in Cherokee County, but her call hit a tower in Fulton County.
Give me the address one more time. It's not working.
Then the inventors call 911 using the same phone, but with their technology activated. It's called Laser, and it uses the phone sensors to determine precise location before routing the call to the correct 911 center.
Cherokee County 911, what's the address for emergency?
This is not an emergency call. This is a technician field test call. Can you please verify the address on your CAD display?
Phone display is showing 1 the Fairway.
It's 1 the Fairway in Woodstock,
Yeah,
Georgia?
showing 1 the Fairway.
That's it. That's where we are.
Using our technology, we were able to call and be located within a few feet of where we are sitting, and we were delivered to the correct 911 jurisdiction for this location.
Did our investigation actually lead to you accelerating this technology?
Yes, actually, as a matter of fact, it did.
Right after this test, another caller was lost on the line.
He stated that he didn't know where he was at, that his car is in the water and sinking.
We're sitting within feet of where George Treadaway unfortunately lost his life while trying to get help through 911 while his car was sinking.
He's going to be out of oxygen.
Nearly a year to the day after Shanell Anderson died in Cherokee County, George Treadaway drowned in Gordon County.
And I was unable to be able to ping his location from our system.
With 911 location data miles off the mark, it took 2 days to find his car on Reeves Station Road.
Gordon County 911.
Can you please tell me the address that is currently showing on your screen?
I'm showing 1975 Reeves Station Road.
Great. And do you have a latitude and longitude?
Yes.
So we've just called 911, and Laser has us located on Reeves Station Road, right where we actually are and where we would want emergency services to come find us.
And this could have saved George Treadaway's life.
I believe so, yes.
We offered Gordon County operators an opportunity to see the new technology. 911 Director Debbie Vance, president of Georgia's Dispatcher Association, declined, writing, "The phone carriers have not heard of it, and they feel from the description we have had so far, this is a carrier issue and not a public safety answering point issue. If all carriers are not part of it, I don't see how it will benefit anyone."
There's There's a side of this that's sad and tragic. There's also a side of it that's just infuriating.
Fred calls Gordon County again, this time deactivating his invention and using the system George Treadaway relied upon.
Can you please tell me the address that is currently showing on your screen?
458 Brown Farm Road.
He gave us, I believe, 458 Brown Farm Road, which is the location of the nearest cell tower to us. By road, it's a little over 5 miles, and it's about a 10-minute drive.
This is the same 1996 technology 911 uses to find all of us when our lives are on the line.
In an emergency situation, a matter of a minute or two can be the difference between life and death.
It's patent pending, but Fred and Michael aren't waiting for their application to be approved. They're already working directly with cell phone carriers to get them to adopt the technology as soon as possible. It works with existing 911 systems, and they say it won't cost subscribers or 911 call centers a penny. Melissa.
Sounds wonderful. It kind of, correct me if I'm wrong here, looks like an app. So if it is, how do I get it?
Yeah, this is it. It does look like an app, doesn't it? Well, right now it is an app, but it's just in beta testing. The inventors are working to get this baked into the firmware of all phones to protect everyone without us having to buy or download anything. You'll simply call 911 and the technology will work in the background.
But still beta testing prototype at this point.
We're still waiting.
All right, I know you'll let us know when it is available to everyone. And of course, this is a story you've worked on for a year now, so I know you'll continue to stay on it.
We will. Thanks.
All right, Brennan, thank you.